Hello, this is Cameron Brown, and I'm doing my final presentation on stress and coping behaviors. I researched 5 different peer-reviewed articles and just figured out what was found in the studies and the different ways that stress is shown and the different ways to kind of combat it and improve, and advantages and disadvantages that can be discovered. So the first study that I found really interesting was stress and cancer. I didn't know that there was such a link to it, and it was a study, and it is a topic that is still being researched, and there's still information being figured out, and it's a growing correlation. So what I found from this study in my first PowerPoint is that there are a lot of mixed findings in stress and cancer. There were a few different studies, case control study, meta-analysis studies across the continents. But what was kind of found was just the link between stress and the risk and the cancer risk, and maybe the disadvantages and how to help with that. So one study was found that workplace stress associated with prostate cancer risk, it can be increased, and that was found in a study in Canadian men. There was no correlation in a case study. In a study among UK women, no association was found between breast cancer risk and stress levels. So the impact of chronic stress it's a little bit different because it manifests itself differently, and there's different health risks that comes from chronic stress. And so what was found with that was laboratory studies suggest that chronic stress may worsen cancer progression through mechanisms involving hormones like norepinephrine, and so that's I'm struggling to pronounce the words, but hopefully it's understood. So it can worsen with hormones like that, and there were different clinical implications just suggesting things to do and ways to go about things to improve. And just like most things, just emotional and social support can be beneficial with coping, and physical activity can reduce anxiety and maybe depressive symptoms that have come from cancer survivors. And like I said before, this is further research is kind of needed to know to understand the mechanisms and implications for cancer prevention and treatment, but it seems like it's a growing topic and there's more information that's coming from it. And so the next slide that I chose, the next article that I chose was about how just understanding police officer stress. And this is something that makes sense to me, but I'd never really researched much or even really thought about. Maybe it's crazy with how intense it is and how prevalent it is, but I'm glad that I got to learn more about it. But the article was just stating that police works significant. The work of a police officer it has a significant effect on the officer's ability to perform, and just actions or inactions on the job and surrounded around the job can have stressful legal and social consequences. So just kind of worrying about that, and then experiencing traumas, the violence, and maybe witnessing human suffering. And then there's symptoms of stress to kind of look for that, and the impact of stress and trauma. It can range from mild to severe, and different risks. There's risks of poor health, and so just kind of looking for signs like that, ways to kind of detect it. Something that I saw was that in comparison to the general population, police officers have a much higher risk of suicide. But one of the biggest conclusions and ways to kind of help with this and avoid these health risks and these negative results is just kind of evaluation of different treatments and services for officers and their specific needs, individual needs. The next PowerPoint that I chose was why stress causes people to overeat. And I think we'd really talked a lot about this in class, just how with cortisol and when you're stressed, your cortisol levels are rising, and insulin levels may play a role along with hunger hormones. But so when we're stressed, we actually have a more intense desire for high fat and sugary foods, and we may crave those more. And so individuals with high cortisol responses to stress are more likely to engage in stress-induced snacking in their daily life. And to kind of conclude this, just stress eating, it's very complex, and it's influenced by physiological and psychological and environmental factors, but there's different mechanisms to help alleviate and maintain weight. And so the next PowerPoint I did was the healing power of nature, and it just kind of talks about the effects of environments and the impact of alleviating stress levels and influencing the nervous and endocrine and immune system. So one thing that I saw was that spending time outside actually can not only help with just mental health and overall emotional health and really physical health. It actually, spending time in nature improves mood, psychological well-being, attention span, and then it's particularly beneficial for ADHD. And so I can actually say that I know that this is true, and this is something that I can testify is true. So the last one I did was immunity to secondhand stress, and what I learned from this was this one was this wasn't as easy of a read as the other one, so it's something that I was kind of digesting for a while. And but it just kind of talks about how our neural mirroring and emotions spread through mirror neurons, and it triggers response like yawning or stress when observed. And just even observing stress can elevate cortisol levels, it actually says, by 26%, affecting our nervous system. So secondhand stress, it's potent and when experienced from close relationships or shared workspaces. So I don't know if you're supposed to avoid individuals like that, but it does say that that it is it has such a significant impact that maybe take it as you will. If you don't want to be super stressed, maybe don't. It's an energy that will affect you secondhand. So it can affect business outcomes and health, and it can actually shorten lifespans. So there's some companies that will implement systems of no venting zones, and I'm sure that's helpful too. Just kind of keep it to yourself and kind of keep that energy away. But one way to help with it is prioritize emotional well-being with habits like just expressing gratitude and journaling positive experiences and exercising or meditating to just kind of go against stressful, contagious stress, I guess. But Thank you so much. I have my reference page at the bottom. And yeah, have a great summer. And Dr. Harmon, I'll see you on the 5th.